Welcome back to the Practical English Podcast.
Hey everyone, it's great to be here again with you.
It really is. Our goal with this podcast is simple. We want to help you feel more comfortable and confident when you speak English in real-life situations.
Exactly. Not in a classroom, but, when you're just talking to people.
And today, we have a topic that I think so many people can relate to. We're talking about how to sound more natural in English conversations.
Yeah, this is a big one. You can have amazing grammar, a huge vocabulary, but you still feel like you sound a bit like a textbook.
A textbook. That's the perfect way to describe it. You say things perfectly correctly, but it just doesn't sound relaxed.
Right. It doesn't sound like how people actually talk.
So today, we're going to share some really simple, practical ways to help your English sound more natural and conversational, whether you're with friends, colleagues, or meeting new people.
And if that sounds useful and you want more conversations like this, make sure to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss future episodes. Okay, Annie, why do you think it's so difficult to sound natural in a new language?
Well, I think a big part of it is that when we learn, we focus on rules. We learn complete, perfect sentences.
That's true.
But in real life, native speakers don't always talk in perfect sentences. We connect ideas in a more relaxed way, so learners often know all the right words, but not how we actually put them together in a casual chat.
I completely agree. And I think there's a fear of making mistakes, so people stick to the very formal structures they learned because it feels safer.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then you feel a little stuck, right? You're not sure how to respond naturally or jump into the conversation.
Exactly. But the good news, and what we really want to talk about today, is that sounding natural often means simplifying what you say, not making it more complicated.
Totally. It's about using shorter sentences, little reaction words, and just relaxing into the conversation a bit more. It's not about learning more advanced vocabulary.
Okay, so let's start with something really simple, but so important. Contractions.
Oh, for sure. This is probably the number one thing. Native speakers use contractions all the time.
All the time. We almost never say, I am or they are in a normal conversation. It's always I'm and they're.
Right. It feels so much more fluid. Like if I was telling you my plans, I wouldn't say I am going to meet a friend later. It sounds a little robotic.
It does. You just say,
I'm meeting a friend later, or I'm going to meet a friend. It's quicker and it's smoother.
exactly. And it applies to everything. We don't say do not or cannot. It's always don't and can't.
And that is becomes that's. You are becomes you're. It's such a small change, but it instantly makes your speech sound more relaxed and natural.
Okay, so another key part of natural conversation is how we respond to people. It's not always with a full sentence.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of communication happens in those small reactions.
It shows you're listening and engaged.
Right. So if you tell me something interesting, I probably won't say, that is very interesting information.
I hope not.
I'd say something like, oh, wow, or really, or just nice.
Yes. Or things like right. That makes sense. Or yeah, exactly. They're so simple, but they keep the conversation flowing. They signal to the other person, I'm with you. Keep going.
Totally. It's like a little verbal nod. It makes the other person feel heard, and it's a great way to participate in a conversation even if you don't have a big point to add at that moment.
It is. It takes the pressure off feeling like you always have to say something brilliant. Just showing you're listening is huge.
And that brings us to another point, which is sentence length.
Oh, this is a great one.
We don't usually speak in long, complex sentences with multiple clauses. It's not like writing an essay.
No, not at all.
We tend to break our thoughts down into shorter chunks. So instead of saying, because I was very tired yesterday as a result of a busy day at work, I made the decision to stay home, I'd just say it in parts.
Right. How would you say it?
I'd say something like, I was really tired yesterday, Work was super busy, so I just stayed home.
Yes, much more natural. It's like you're sharing your thoughts as they come to you, which is exactly what conversation is.
Exactly. It's more direct, easier for the listener to follow, and it just sounds more relaxed. So don't worry about building perfect, long sentences. Short and clear is often better.
And what about those little words we use when we're thinking, sometimes called fillers?
You mean like or
Well, yes, but also words like well, you know, I mean, or actually.
Oh, yeah, those are everywhere in natural speech. They're like little thinking pauses.
They are. They give your brain a second to catch up and figure out what to say next. And they make the conversation feel more real, more human.
That's a good way to put it, because nobody has their thoughts perfectly organized all the time. So starting a sentence with well or clarifying with I mean is completely normal.
And something like actually is great for adding a little extra information or a slight correction. Like, I'm from Chicago. Well, actually, a small town just outside Chicago.
Right, it makes it conversational, not like you're giving a formal presentation. Using them sparingly can really soften your language.
So, we've talked about contractions, reactions, short sentences, and fillers. I think the last piece of the puzzle is actively showing you're interested.
Yes, conversation is a two-way street. It's not just about speaking perfectly, it's about connecting with the other person.
Exactly. And you do that by reacting to what they say. If a friend says, I went to a great concert last night, you don't just move on to your own story.
Right, you'd react. You'd say, oh, nice, who did you see? Or, that sounds fun, tell me more about it.
Yes, a simple follow up question shows you care about what they're saying. It invites them to share more.
It really does. It transforms the conversation from two people just taking turns talking into a real interaction.
And honestly, I think people appreciate a good listener far more than someone with perfect grammar. The goal is connection, not perfection.
You know, we've touched on asking follow-up questions, but I think we could go a bit deeper on that. The way we ask questions can totally change the feel of a conversation.
That's so true. For example, there's a huge difference between a closed question and an open one. A closed question usually gets a yes or no answer, right?
You know, we've touched on asking follow-up questions, but I think we could go a bit deeper on that. The way we ask questions can totally change the feel of a conversation.
Exactly. Like if you ask someone, did you have a good weekend? The answer is just yes or no. It kind of stops the conversation in its tracks.
That's so true. For example, there's a huge difference between a closed question and an open one. A closed question usually gets a yes or no answer, right?
Right. But if you ask, what did you get up to this weekend? That opens the door for a real story. The other person can share as much or as little as they want. It invites a better, more detailed response.
Exactly. Like if you ask someone, did you have a good weekend? The answer is just yes or no. It kind of stops the conversation in its tracks.
For sure. But if you ask, what did you get up to this weekend? That opens the door for a real story. The other person can share as much or as little as they want. It invites a better, more detailed response.
So, I guess if we boil it all down, the main message is that natural English is often simple English.
It really is. It's not about being more formal or using bigger words. It's about relaxing. Remember to use contractions to sound more fluid.
Yeah, and use those small reaction phrases like right or that makes sense to show you're listening.
And don't be afraid to use shorter sentences. It sounds more conversational and is much less pressure for you.
Totally. The goal is to connect with people, not to give a speech. Just aim for connection.
That's the perfect summary. So, for everyone listening, we have a little challenge for you this week. Just pick one of these small habits to practice. Maybe it's focusing on using contractions or trying to use a natural reaction phrase in your next English conversation.
Yeah, don't try to do it all at once. Just pick one small thing, and we'd love to hear from you. Let us know about any situations where you feel a bit nervous speaking English in the comments below.
That's a great idea. Or tell us about other topics you'd like us to cover in future episodes. Your feedback really helps us make the podcast better for you.
Absolutely. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks so much for listening to the Practical English podcast.
Thank you, everyone. And remember to subscribe so you can join us for our next conversation. We'll talk to you soon.